Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode is brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk.
On today's Smart 7, Rayner's political fate hangs in the balance. EU leaders pledge troops for Ukraine and much more. It's Friday, 5th of September. It's Food Bank Day, and happy birthday, Michael Keaton.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Angela Rayner's political fate appears to rest in the hands of the Prime Minister's independent advisor on ministers' interests. Sir Laurie Mingus, who was originally appointed by Rishi Sunak in 2022, is responsible for investigating any referrals of ministers on ethics grounds, and the Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary referred herself on Tuesday over a tax issue. She's faced calls for her resignation from the opposition and had tax evader graffitied on the wall of the flat in Hove that caused the stamp duty controversy. Tory chairman Kevin Hollinrake says that he feels Rayner should go.
You know, if this was a Conservative Member of Parliament who was in the same situation, I think Angela Rayner would be calling for that person to step down. So you cannot be hypocritical in these matters. You've got to be consistent. And I think, given that, I don't think Angela Rayner has any other choice than to step down.
Ultimately, the Prime Minister will have to make the call as to whether or not he sacks his deputy, and the BBC's Chris Mason was unable to get Starmer to reveal whether or not he is prepared to do that when the report is published.
What I'm saying is there's a clear procedure. I strengthened that procedure. It is now taking place. I do want it to be comprehensive, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I will act on whatever the report is that's put in front of me.
European leaders met in Paris on Thursday as the so-called Coalition of the Willing sought to make progress to halt Russia's war on Ukraine. President Zelensky attended along with French President Macron, Keir Starmer and EU President Ursula von der Leyen. Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff was also present, and the leaders participated in a Zoom call with Donald Trump, but it's not clear that any real progress was made. President Macron was threatening further economic action.
If Russia continues to refuse concrete peace discussions, we will take additional sanctions along with the United States.
Trump has let the previous deadline, which was the 1st of September, slide past, and he has made no firm commitment on either security guarantees or sanctions for Russia. The first shipment of arms bought for Ukraine by Europe from the US has now been shipped, and 26 of the 35 members are committed to sending troops to Ukraine. President Zelensky says that Putin has to be pinned down.
A very specific impression remains, even after the meeting in China. It seems that Putin will try to use it as a pretext to continue the war. Overall, through his behavior, Putin is trying to show that no pressure affects him.
Israel's President Isaac Herzog has announced that he will visit the UK next week on Wednesday and Thursday, shortly before the UK is set to recognise the State of Palestine at the UN General Assembly. Number 10 haven't confirmed whether or not Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet the Israeli president, and Labour MPs have been urging him not to. The visit comes as there has been no sign of progress on a ceasefire, and civilian deaths continue as the IDF ramps up its plan to take over Gaza City. Former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has decided that if the government won't hold Israel to account over Gaza, he'll do it, and he's set up a 2-day public tribunal.
So what we've done today is assembled a panel of 2 academics with myself to listen to evidence for 2 days. We've got a lot of constitutional lawyers giving evidence, and we're having direct evidence from Gaza and the West Bank of people who will explain what the situation is, but the crucial area is British policy.
Donald Trump faced more legal trouble on Thursday as his administration is being sued by the District of Columbia over the deployment of National Guard troops to Washington. Trump has claimed it's necessary because of a public safety emergency, but he's already faced a ruling this week that his previous deployment of troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Meanwhile, his Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. appeared before a Senate committee hearing to answer questions about what appears to be absolute chaos in the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, where RFK Jr. has been firing experts and hiring conspiracy theorists. With Florida announcing plans to remove vaccine mandates, the senators were concerned about what the health secretary will do next, and Democratic Senator Don Wyden had a stern warning for him.
I hope that you will tell the American people how many preventable child deaths are an acceptable sacrifice for enacting an agenda that I think is fundamentally cruel and defies common sense.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Lewis revs up for Ferrari's home race and we say farewell to a fashion legend. Right after this.
Hey, it's Jamie East here from the Smart 7, and today's episode's brought to you by Pension Bee and their award-winning Pension Confident podcast. Getting your head around pensions might seem overwhelming, but that's where Pension Bee comes in. They're on a mission to build pension confidence. So whether you're just starting on your pension journey, you're nearing retirement, or like me, you're somewhere a little bit in between, then you should have a listen to the Pension Confident podcast. It's an award-winning podcast that digs into topics that really matter with the help of financial experts. So that could be the basics of how pensions, ISAs or mortgages work, and things like how to get started on saving for a happy retirement. And a bit like the Smart 7 does with the news, they break down complex pensions finance into language that we can all understand. You can listen or download the Pension Confident podcast wherever you get your podcast from, or you can watch the episodes on YouTube. And remember, anything discussed on the podcast shouldn't be regarded as financial or legal advice, and when investing, your capital is at risk.
Welcome back. It's a busy sporting weekend with World Cup qualifiers, the Women's Rugby World Cup, golfing action at the Irish Open and the Italian Grand Prix. The Dutch race last weekend was pretty chaotic, with Lando Norris and both Ferraris failing to finish, which has seen Oscar Piastri open up a gap at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton also picked up a delayed 5-place grid penalty, which won't make life any easier for his first home race in a Ferrari. He says he's looking forward to the fight.
I know what it's like to be up there. I've seen how it's been for other Ferrari drivers. And anything I try to imagine, it'll be far from it of what that feeling could be. But always just coming here for anyone, no matter what team you drive for, it's an incredible experience. Being in this park, being in this historic circuit.
Steve Buscemi is an award-winning iconic American actor, but he's also a director, and of course the man behind the Hello Fellow Kids meme. He's directed quite a few TV shows, including 30 Rock and The Sopranos, and now he's just joined the cast of Wednesday for the second season. He popped up to chat about it with Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, and he says no matter how many sets he's been on, he still gets first-day nerves.
It is a little intimidating. It happened to me years ago when I did The Sopranos. When I first came onto that show, I was directing. My first day on set, I had to go up to Jimmy Gandolfini and say stuff to him. And I was so nervous because I really believed he was Tony Soprano.
Giorgio Armani, a true fashion legend, died on Thursday aged 91. The Italian designer opened his Milan fashion house in 1975 and quickly became internationally famous for his distinctive style. He was still working up to his final days as the CEO, founder and sole shareholder of the Armani empire, and was credited with inventing red carpet fashion, which made him a billionaire. He was famous for dressing Hollywood stars and for providing unique and distinctive looks for movies, including his famous suits for women. One of his Hollywood fans was Richard Gere, who says Armani's design really helped to define the classic American gigolo. Rest in peace, Giorgio.
We tried them on, and all of a sudden this character started coming alive, this kind of very contemporary guy. You know, that was the beginning of me getting into that character, was actually his clothes.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
For 25 years, Brightview Senior Living Associates have been committed to creating a vibrant culture and delivering exceptional services, making Brightview a great place to work and live. If you're looking for a rewarding opportunity to serve your local community and grow, we want you to join our team. Brightview Senior Living is growing and actively seeking vibrant associates to join our community teams, including directors, healthcare, activities, hospitality, and dining. Apply today at careers.brightviewseniorliving.com. Equal employment opportunities. Text BV Jobs to 97211 to apply.